in the duplex. Hello, game reviewers. I have recently read this year's Game Informer, and I've realized that there was an even worse game than Monsters Inc., Crash Banger, and Star Wars combined. Now, before I get started, I want to say that I might actually die from this review because it is so terrible. Now, the thing about the show is that it is a game even worse than the next game, even worse than the next game. But this time, this game is so bad that it's good. I will be right back. Gingers have souls. Anyway, this game, Final Fantasy. Stupid piece of crap. Lord T. Pile of shit. Piece. Bah humbug! I can't get the stupid little price tag off of it, like right there. So yeah, this game is called Final Fantasy. XIV. 12 actually. Final Fantasy 12 because it's XII. This game was actually the first of the Final Fantasy games going from bad to worse. Now after Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which was good, 8, 9, X2, there was 12. This game wasn't really that good for a Final Fantasy game. I honestly didn't like it. There was too much dialogue, too much explanation. I mean, something about Rabinaster, about how someone died, Vaughn's brother. It's just too much history. I mean, to hold on to actually enjoy the game. I mean, sorry, my mic was. The graphics are actually pretty impressive for the PS2. I mean, these graphics is the graphics on this game is amazing. I mean, it's like the same graphics as an average Wii game like Twilight Princess or Twilight Princess or Twilight Princess. I mean, the thing is, I mean, this was one of the very last games ever to be made before the PlayStation 3 Final Fantasy games. And that's when it really got bad, which is really pathetic because, I mean, it was the PlayStation 3, and you'd expect by the time being that Final Fantasy would take promotion to an even better system, which means better games, but by then, they were making bad games after being inspired by the terrible, dreaded Final Fantasy 12. So let me take a moment to talk about why this game is bad. The thing about it, it's really not bad compared to Star Wars, Ford Racing 3, and the Demon game. Because, I mean, it's still a Final Fantasy game, and it's only bad in its own way. I mean, compared to some of the other crappy games, this is actually a good game, but compared to the series of Final Fantasy, it's a bad game. Because you see, Final Fantasy made so many games that it has its own game category. Because you can type it in on Wikipedia, and Final Fantasy will have its own category, because there's just so many games. It's Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, banana. It's just so many games to hold on to. I mean, to keep up with. I mean, you can never have every single Final Fantasy game because there's just so many games to keep up with. I mean, you want to play Final Fantasy 1, but then again, I want to play some of the earlier games for the PlayStation 1, like 7, 8, or 9, but then again, I want to play Final Fantasy X and X2 because that was pretty good. And by the way, X means 10, because it was 10, X2 was 11. Now, I don't want to get off track. I really just want to review Final Fantasy 12. I mean, this game, it didn't impress me at all. I mean, I honestly didn't think this game was all it was cracked up to be. I mean, it had a totally different style to it, a totally different fighting style. Because instead of just going into battle, you just stand there in the actual gameplay, wait until the meter at the bottom, the attack meter at the bottom fills up, and then you attack the monster. Which I think is a really advanced way of promoting Final Fantasy, but sadly the game just wasn't going with the whole idea. I mean, the rest of the game was just, I mean, it had good graphics, amazing music. I mean, the characters weren't that good. I mean, they did too much. I mean, they overdid it on the Final Fantasy franchise, and that's why I don't think that Final Fantasy 12 was actually that good. I mean, I'd appreciate it if I could play some of the earlier games, more appreciated games like Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 10, because the thing is, uh, that was a sudden interruption. Anyway, the thing is, you can never do too well on Final Fantasy. I mean, Final Fantasy 7 was perfect, but the graphics were bad. Final Fantasy 12 had perfect graphics, but the game itself was bad. I mean, you can never be perfect to Final Fantasy. I mean, you can only do so good, but when you try to overdo it, it just turns bad. I mean, that's just the thing with Final Fantasy. Now, before I go, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my reestablishment of Final Fantasy, and I will review the legendary Infinity Gauntlet for its terrible badness of humanity. One of these days. And I'm out.